Thank you. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 6th District 3 Advisory Board meeting. And we are going to start with an approval of the agenda for September 6th. So I have first a motion, I'm sorry. I have a motion by Mike and a second by Gentry. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. And then I'm going to call for the approval of the minutes for July 5th, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Michael and a second by David. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye. Okay, motion carries. And then we're going to move on to staff reports. And first, we have up our wonderful Wichita Fire Department. There he is. And not the whole department. But remember.
Hey, my name is Matt Bowen. I've been with the department for 32 years. I'm Italian here on duty shift. I run out of the Firehouse 2, 1 block south of Lincoln on Broadway. Becca has printed some information out for you. I just have some general information. Unfortunately, I have more detailed incident data to break down monthly and the annual basis. But since CAD transition, that resource hasn't been available. So a little bit of general information. I know it's not a very good picture, and there's handouts for the public back there if you're interested. Anybody wants to get a handout. There's a couple of recent fires that occurred in District 3. The top one is in South City, just south of Wausau, off of Hydraulic, 2800 block of Hydraulic, and faced a strip mall that had heavy smoke coming from the rear of the structure. And the picture on the left, you can see this smoke. This was actually the aftermath of a propane explosion. We had an illegal cooking operation set back, or I say it's against code, which makes it illegal. But they had multiple 100-pound propane cylinders. And at least 2 of those exploded. 1 of them traveled through the neighborhood over 600 feet and landed on a residential roof. Again, our inspection division, they do a tremendous job here. There's literally tens of thousands of businesses in Wichita, and they have I believe it's a 2-year rotation on inspecting businesses. So again, new businesses start and may not be up to code and like the previous business in that space. So unfortunately, this happened. Crew did an amazing job. No civilians were injured. The firefighters were a little shocked because they're stretching this strip mall. If you're not familiar with it, had stores on either side and had like a breezeway. That's all the way back to the back and had business in the breezeway also. Well, they were stretching the attack line through that breezeway and closing through. So fortunately, no injuries. I'll say that there were burns to one of the civilians. And they went like personal vehicle to the hospital. No fatalities. The second one is right next to Firehouse 2. It's the 3rd time this building is burned. And it's not very good. I don't know exactly if you can pull the pictures up on the big screen. The topic what I'm talking about is incredible. Down below, these pictures look odd, but what that is that's infrared thermal signatures from this building fire. We have, Station 11 is one of our satellite drone stations. We have drone pilots there. And they were able to respond early enough. This was about a minute before the collapse. They had that up. This was obviously a defensive fire. This building had burnt multiple times. But up here on the left, we had a truck company set up there, and then to the north, we had one of these dark places where actually the streams coming in and attacking that fire. You know, it was front to back, side to side, full of fire. Created defensive perimeter, protected all the structures on the other side of the alley, protected this building to the south, which is right next to Firehouse 2, and did a phenomenal job. You know, we have drones at Station 11. We also have drones at Firehouse 13 with our commander. So, kind of a unique picture. Some of the things going on with Wichita, most recently on the 30th, the firefighters rescued a person in an 1800 block of South Topeka at a house fire. Did a phenomenal job. They pulled them out shortly after they got there. The search found them, pulled them out. The citizen was triage blue, which means they weren't breathing, didn't have sufficient cardiac to sustain life. Through the media, started CPR. And before that individual left the scene, transported to St. Francis Burn Center. He told him his name, his day of birth. So crew did an amazing job getting him out of the house and resuscitating him. So, you know, props to the A-ship crews on that incident.
North Island 85.
We currently have 11 probationary employees, part-time employees in our EMT academy. They're expected to complete that if they successfully complete that test for the national EMT, then they'll go straight into the fire academy, and they anticipate that around October 13th, October 15th. We're excited about that. Fire Prevention Week, a lot of the information on the back out and what back copy is fire safety messages. The theme this year is cooking safety starts with you. Pay attention to fire prevention. As you can see there. We expect delivery of 2 new pumpers and 1 new truck company, 100-foot aerial platform, late November, early December. Tentatively, those 2 pumpers, one will go to District 3 at Station 22, and one will go out east to Firehouse 15. Those are currently the 2 oldest pumpers in service in the city of Wichita. So we're excited to bring those pumpers. And the oldest truck that's in service right now is Truck 7, which is also at Firehouse 22. And the new truck company is earmarked to go to Firehouse 22. So we're really excited. Firehouse 22 is going to have a new pumper and new truck. Hopefully by mid-December, they'll be on track. Chief Snow shared with us, and Councilman Hohog and they had kickoff meetings on funding for purchases for the new firehouses. So we're really excited that we're moving forward with new firehouses, and appreciate your support. Again, we have some areas that we need firehouses so we can meet the 1710 FPA 1710 requirements. So we're really excited to be moving forward on that. I'll finish up with we have a couple of grants that we haven't heard back from. One of them is a federal grant, and it's for a fire investigations unit. And that's for 4 additional people. That's that grant will fund those positions. And also we have a state grant in current process, and it's going to provide wildland for our members who have that wildland qualification. So we're excited about that. And I'm going to say it, I do it every time, and I know it probably gets old. The second page is already closed before you those. Your firefighters, we do targeted searches, we can have a house that has fire coming out of every door, every window but one. And if that door is closed on the inside, the rest of the house can be on fire. That room can sustain life, and we're gonna search it. That's what you pay us for, and that's what our mission is, to serve you. So, any questions, please ask.
Questions from the dad? Yes.
Yeah, I noticed on the news the other day, there's some kind of grant coming down for to help volunteer firemen in smaller communities. Do you have a good relationship with the small communities if they have something happen that they can't quite handle?
So we have mutual aid agreements with all the surrounding communities. And a lot of those have been firmed up or actually become official in just the last couple of years. Chief Snow working with these other jurisdictions, figuring out something that's equitable to both. We're great neighbors to Andover, to Colwich, and Sedgwick County Fire District 1. By that same token, they provide service to our community too. It's reciprocal. So as far, yes, ma'am.
Where is Firehouse 22?
Firehouse 22 is on hydraulic. It's about the 2600 block. It's it's a block and a half north of hydraulic and Wausau.
Any other questions from the dad or any other questions from the public?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
And next up, we have the Wichita Police Department.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Sir.
Excellent. So I'm Officer Jensen. I cover 26 beat, which is basically South City area. So just some updates. Right now, we are working with the Parks Department, preparing for Open Streets ICT, which will be held on the 17th of this month, which is a great event, opportunity for families and people to get outside, get on their bikes, and just ride up and down the streets and enjoy themselves. Along with that, Patrol East is in the process of building their new station, and it's moving along quite well. We're looking at hopefully completing sometime soon, which is going to be very nice. Just having updated technology and equipment to use there at the station, make it better and safer for officers working in that bureau. As far as the stats are concerned for the south side, we are actually down over this past month in all violent crimes, which has been awesome. I attribute that to the fact that we're really working as a team on all levels. When a violent crime happens, you have your patrol officers that are going out and gathering the information and taking the initial reports. And then detectives, our violent crimes officers, community policing officers are immediately jumping on that information and then pushing it forward so we can identify the suspect, we can locate them. And we've actually been able to solve a lot of these crimes rather quickly, get the suspects in custody, and then push it on to the district attorney being able to get those charged in a real quick manner, which has been awesome. So us as community policing officers, our focus is the complaints that are coming in. We're helping out patrol with calls so that way they're not getting overloaded. And then we're dealing with violent crimes and things of that nature. So if there are complaints that come in, obviously prioritize them, try and make sure that we get all of them addressed. Sometimes they do get pushed onto the back burner just because we have to address something more urgent at that time. But just know and understand that we will get to them. And if you're wanting contact, we'll reach out, we'll talk to you, get things solved the best way that we can. And that's really all I have for the updates. Are there any questions?
Questions from the dad? question from the public? I see no questions, but thank you very much for your report and the work that you do every day. Keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
Have written updates from Patrol East.
Okay,
Patrol East is currently on special assignment targeting criminal activity, including drugs and violent offenders out of the local hotels on the east side. Patrol East has also been working on quality of life issues such as abandoned vehicles and blight within residential areas. Auto thefts and larceny to autos continue to be a problem. Encouraging residents to keep your vehicle secure with no valuables in view, parking in your garage if at all possible, and to make sure you do not leave vehicle keys hidden inside of a car ever. And then their final update was that their goal at Patrol East is to hold violent offenders accountable and prosecute them to the full extent of the law. Their department has been very diligent in finding and arresting those who violently offend the citizens of the city. Unfortunately, there have been some very tragic cases of violence in recent weeks. And it's their goal to find and apprehend those offenders as well.
I would like to say, I believe WP's clearance rate on murders is 93%, which is far above national average. So they really do a good job as far as tracking people down and holding them accountable for their actions. Just an interesting statistic from the great work they do.
thank you. All right, and we have our great director here to provide us a report on the Wichita Public Library.
Evening, everyone. I'm Jamie Nix. I'm the director of the library. I think the last time I mentioned that we had a maker fair that was happening at the Advanced Learning Library and Exploration Place. About 2,800 individuals came out that day, which was incredible. I don't know that we could have had any more at the library, but it was so much fun. So look forward to it again next year. We're in the process right now of actually certifying for a program called Family Place Libraries. It's a national program that's been around for about 30 years. It's in a lot of different communities. There's only 2 others in Kansas, though, that have taken the steps to certify. And what that means is that, like a lot of organizations who are serving in the education space, we see that the importance of the first 3 years of life is critically important. And being a new parent, sometimes you don't know what's going on and what your resources are. I know for myself, this would have been really helpful as a place that is pretty neutral where I can gain community, but it's essentially putting together a lot of what we do already at the library. We circulate resources and materials, we have spaces and programs, we have staff who are trained to assist, but we've up-leveled that training significantly. And we'll be working with a number of education and community partners to do interventions as needed with development things that happen. I think what we're looking at is specifically, if you go to the Advanced Learning Library right now, we've created a newer space completely designed for babies. So lots of play, lots of imagination, lots of all of the pre-reading skills that need to happen, but we'll also be doing a number of parent educator workshops where we'll be bringing experts in just to informally just get to know where parents are at, if they need help with anything. So we anticipate a lot of amazing connections to referrals, of young parents or caregivers of young children. This is a really great opportunity. We'll be doing a kind of a soft launch of an informal Family Place Library at the Alfred branch because we wanted to see how it applies at different locations. We'll be getting staff through that training here pretty soon. But we anticipate doing that across all of our locations. If you're an artist or know of any artists, we're in the process of redesigning our library card. It's been the same card, I think, since the origin of time. And ideally, this month it's National Library Card Sign Up Month, so I have to paddle. If you don't have a library card, you can apply for one online or you can stop into any of our branches. But we're doing this library card design contest really just to kind of shake it up and show the creative energy that happens in our community with local artists. So there's a category for kids. 6 to 12. There's a teen category, 13 to 17, and adults can also enter. And so what we'll be doing, I think we have 15 entries right now. So with all of these, we'll be having our board participate in picking out some of their favorites, and then the community, you all will get to vote on the 3 new parks that we'll be introducing at the beginning of next year. We're really happy to share that the Walters Branch hours will be expanding. We're in the process right now of recruiting for a new librarian. It's a community services librarian, and that's a new kind of functional title for us. We're not requiring a master's degree in library science. Someone with a bachelor's degree in an adjacent kind of education, social services, community engagement sphere with some experience would also be eligible. So if you know of anyone who's really passionate about partnerships, programs, working with Becca, check out wichita.gov. The jobs are posted right now. We have the position both at Walters, which means we're going to be able to open up on Saturdays, and also at the Angelo branch. We're recruiting for a position there. We'll be able to have more hours at that location. But these are 2 community libraries that never had professional level staff. So we're really excited about the quality of programs and connections and engagement that happen. So just as soon as we get those folks hired, we'll be able to open up more. So I think also as of September 1st, the coolest services we have, I think, is interlibrary loan. So if we don't have a particular book or item, we'll the library all throughout the United States if we can borrow it on your behalf. And there was a fee of $3 per item you requested until September 1st. So now you can ask for items that are no longer or aren't in our collection. Honestly, one of the greatest ways for us never to say no. If we have it, we'll get it for you. So just keep that in mind. If our catalog is holding something that you're interested in reading. Any questions?
Jamie, I have a quick question. So the other opportunities for funding for little libraries around town, out in District 3?
Outside of this district, funding for libraries?
No, outside of District 3, the libraries.
Oh, the little library.
Yeah,
So
because
right
I'm
now,
still looking for some locations at 67214.
oh, awesome. So we're in the process. We have a bit of a capital plan happening.
Okay.
And my foundation, the Wichita Library Foundation, its own nonprofit, is going through a process to do some capital raising. To include a book delivery vehicle so that we can do home to care providers who are super busy doing important work for all of the kiddos in our community. Also, more little free libraries in each of the districts. So we are going to be installing a story walk in District 3. So we'll have that celebrate here pretty soon. Just want to. The ground's frozen.
Thank you. Other questions from the dad? Okay, how about from the public? Yes, ma'am.
On the contest, how do they end?
Our website, just you'll be able to upload the file. So just go to the wichitalibrary.org website, and there should be a banner that's on the promotion going. It's just a any kind of electronic file.
Yes.
Thank you. I missed what you said. You were going to start a story. What was that you were saying?
Yeah, there's a story walk that we installed last year at Evergreen Park. So it's essentially a picture book for kids that's been deconstructed and on stands. So along the Evergreen Park, you're able to walk, read, and the story progresses through the loop. So we're looking at adding one to District 3 and all each other districts.
And do you know where in District 3?
We've been going back and forth, and I don't know yet. We'll let you know as soon as we confirm. Okay, but I've gotten Parks and Rec to help me in the winter. So.
Any other questions from the? Well, thank you so much. All right, Public Works, you're up.
I won't be joining the contest. I have trouble with people. I can't draw.
Say it's a quarter.
That's good. I'm Paul Gonzalez with Public Works. I got a few projects to give you an update on the pavement preservation projects that we've had going on. Broadway 31st to John Mack Bridge, that had been completed, as well as George Washington Boulevard from 31st Street to Pawnee. We will be beginning concrete street repairs on Southeast Boulevard from Harry to Washington later this month. And then we also have some localized repairs that will bid later this month in September, and we'll begin in October, and that will be on Beverly between Farm and Kellogg. The Watson Park improvements, we are still working on the Seasons venue. We are still working on addressing the sound echo within the venue. I think we had ordered some, or tried to bid some acoustical tiles, but we had some issues with some incomplete bids, so we are still working on that. The Watson Park, we are still on track to have the accessible boat ramp installed by the end of the year. And then the VNR project, couple highlights on it. Plant 2, Package 2, which will be the majority of the odor control and solids improvement project. We are nearing 90% design complete on that. And we will be reviewing the plans and submitting those to KDHE for their review. The I-135 sanitary sewer relocation, that is down south. We had open bids on that in May. They were over the engineer's estimate. We had 3 bids on that project, and they were all about within 7% of each other. We did go to City Council yesterday to seek additional funding for that project, and they approved that. So we will have the consultant update the plans. We've worked with consultant and contractors on that project to find ways to reduce the risk that they had in bidding, and also do if they find a better way to do things and cheaper as the project goes on, we'll have a cost sharing with them and the city. So we want to probably wrap up the redesign of the plans, and we want to open bids on that yet this year, and hopefully mid to late October, we'd like to open bids on that so we can get the project. That will replace about 2 miles of large pipe for that project. Officer Jensen talked about Pro East, and we are constructing, as he said, is well underway, and we are anticipating construction to be completed in Q2 of 2024. The Mount Vernon Southeast Boulevard all-over project, that is a rehabilitation project, which we will be repairing the street pavement and then restriping to a 3-lane roadway with on-street bike lanes. Now the school has started, we will send a staff person down to kind of watch traffic around the school and see if we need to address anything with that project as well. So I'm sure we will return to the district advisory board at a future date for the concept of that project. Show you the concept. LW Clap, our master plan implementation. Those improvements, we have submitted the bridge projects to the Corps for their review. We anticipate design to be completed in December, and then with the construction starting after the first of the year, February, and completion of those in August. The playground dog park plans, 90% plans will be submitted in December. 100% following a couple of weeks later, beginning construction beginning in February, and anticipated to be completed in October 2024. The multimodal facility, we are anticipating 100% plans to be completed next week, later next week. Once we get those, we will give those plans to NHBCD for their review, and then we will we'll have the consultant address any comments that they might have from that. We still want to open bids on that later this year. We've anticipated construction to be completed in probably June of 2025. The Dirt Streets program, those projects that we have presented to this district advisory board, I believe in July. Plans have been completed and we will advertise for bids most likely this week, open this September 22nd. So we'll get started on construction on that shortly thereafter. We'll bid those 3 projects all as one package, so there'll be one contract. K96, I-135 to 20th Street, that's the expansion project. WSP continues to work with KDOT on these designs. And any right-of-way acquisition that may be needed, they've been meeting with property owners, discussing some of that, and they are tentatively scheduled to have the second federal open house on November 9th. Once that date is confirmed, we'll pass that on to you all. East Kellogg project is moving forward with design. KDOT held a field check meeting on that last week. And they construction proposed to begin a year from now. And work continues on the North Junction project. And that is my update for this month. Have any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I know we're doing the multimodal, but when was the current bus station? You know?
Yeah, that'd be my guess, mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
Curious. Other questions from the dad? Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Luke.
Something, yes, something.
No, that just didn't take long.
When you said Mount Vernon,
Yes.
when you said you're gonna patch the concrete. Is okay, before you put the striping down for a 3-lane, what is the surface gonna be, concrete or asphalt?
I will have to verify that. I think, my opinion is we should overlay it because people drive the concrete joints, but we'll, I think there's a mixture out there, part of it's concrete, part of it's asphalt throughout that corridor. So,
Well, I live on Mount Vernon, so I'm kind of curious. I live across from the park. And the street, I think I can remember in front of the school, and that corner of Mount Vernon, where the water goes under the street.
yes,
And when it rains, if it ever rains again, it goes over the street.
okay,
And that corner's been beat up and they've replaced large areas, they've patched it, and it's like driving over a rocky road. And I'm just wondering if they're gonna be able to take care of the problem, which is concrete.
you said that's right at school.
Yeah,
there?
what is it, what is that street with the schools on?
It's not Roosevelt.
Clifton?
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I will make sure our design team looks at that drainage. and-
Because if we do get a heavy rain, you're gonna have water on the bridge, on the road. If we ever get a rain.
Right, okay, now we'll look at that drainage with the project.
We'll get the rain, Mike, and it'll come in buckets. and
Yeah.
Then my emails will be full of
We'll have 500 yard range a year.
Thank you.
Questions from the dad?
Are you only doing pavement rehab on arterials?
No, I think we have some, there. With our OP3 project, we do have a few concrete streets there.
And well, my little corner of the world, they just went and roto milled and resurfaced 63rd Street from Broadway to Hydraulic, which was converted from a 2-lane to a 4-lane with curbs and gutters since our paving was put in our development, and our paving has deteriorated to the point where it's an aggregate surface. There's no asphalt left, as far as the surface. And I've asked about it repeatedly, have I not?
It's on my list.
Thank you.
Mark on them next Tuesday. Right? So I get a list, everybody who.
I know.
And then I'll just make sure.
Well, you get a grouch list.
That's not a great- I know, it's legitimate concern, it is. Okay, but from you, it's.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
I have a two-part question. I missed the day on when Mount Vernon's gonna be converted, and how does that coincide with the Clap Park conversion and the traffic around the school? Because I live 3 houses from the school.
Yeah, if I can speak to this one a little bit. That's the reason we're trying to get that dog park, the parking lot for the dog park there, because it'll be a dual use, and that way the traffic can get off of Mount Vernon. I'm familiar with it. My kid went to Griffith until this year she's at Meade. So that, we're gonna make sure to get that parking lot in before we do the work on Mount Vernon. So that way the overflow traffic, especially if it's going down to a 3-lane, I can just, I've been parked out on Mount Vernon before waiting for the line to move. So that is something that we're very cognizant of.
I've lived there 30 years, so yeah, I've dealt with that school for 30 years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And how many children do I have? So that's why I was asking, because I live, close enough that if the traffic changes, they're gonna come down our street
Right.
faster and bolder. And, just thought I would check.
construction for Mount Vernon is scheduled for 2024, so.
Other questions from the audience?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next, go on, under the public agenda, schedule items. I got to meet this young man at Convoy of Hope, and he's doing some exciting things, so I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
My name is Ayan Puri. I'm a senior in high school right now. And over the past couple of years, I've been working to establish this nonprofit called Medic All. It's a pretty extensive PowerPoint, but I won't go through all of it. I won't bore everyone. I'll just go through the main points. So currently, approximately 40% of low-income individuals, they aren't part of healthcare systems, and it's kind of a two-pronged problem. Many of the current healthcare solutions that exist, they're very scarce, especially in rural areas, which are very large in Kansas. And many of the ones that do exist, they have very limited resources. They're not able to see as many patients. There are many issues with their with how they're able to provide care. So as a result, many people, they don't enter healthcare systems. Another part of the problem is this kind of increased nature of medicine becoming privatized. I'm sure many of you guys have heard, but a lot of the hospitals that we have right now in Wichita, they're being owned by large corporations, or they're not kind of in this public nature anymore. And that's kind of increasing the cost and accessibility to healthcare systems for many low-income individuals. So the kind of two key solutions that many individuals kind of turn to are Medicaid, and the second one is kind of free clinics or FQHCs. But even with these solutions, there are a host of problems that might arise. So with Medicaid, they're very scarce in rural areas. There are a lot of administrative complexities that arise in them. There's this kind of gap where many people, they earn too much to qualify for Medicaid, but not enough to kind of pay the dues for private insurance. That's a big problem. Then for those that don't have documentation, they aren't able to get Medicaid. And hospitals are much more likely to turn to people who have private insurance instead of Medicaid because they receive more funding or they receive more payment for these private insurance. The other solution that many turn to are free clinics, but there are many issues with these as well. First of all, is that there's very limited specialty care and interpreter services. They're very, very scarce at these free clinics and FQHCs. So as a result, many people are unwilling to travel to these if they're in rural areas. And with many low-income individuals that are in urban areas, there might still be many difficulties in actually reaching these free clinics, and that's also a big dissuading factor. So as a result, they're not able to maintain a continuity of care. They can't see the same health professional every time, and that just increases their inefficiency in achieving healthcare, and that dissuades them from even going to healthcare in the first place. There are still some costs with F2HCs. They're not completely free, even though they do say free clinics. And then, as I mentioned, there are many transportation services that kind of increase the barriers to healthcare, to kind of entering these healthcare systems. So, as I mentioned, there are all of these barriers that prevent entry into healthcare systems. Now, many might think that that's a big problem, that is the biggest problem, is the entry into healthcare systems. The problem isn't necessarily retention. Once a low-income individual has access to quality healthcare, they're much more likely to keep coming to these healthcare systems. But when they don't take the first steps to even enter the healthcare systems, then they can't ever maintain that continuity of care that is necessary for long-term health. We can skip through this part. So this is kind of our mission. Our mission is to eliminate as many of these barriers as possible. So the kind of key barriers that we address are financial barriers, geographical barriers, language barriers, and documentation barriers. So these are a key factor that drive health inequities. So we want to overcome these by offering a seamless and cost-free pathway to quality healthcare that begins with telemedicine. So this is kind of the pathway of care for low-income individuals. So anyone that's 200% below the federal poverty line, they can go onto our website, medicallhealth.org. That's 2 L's in all, medicallhealth.org. They can book a free consultation. Then they can attend their virtual meeting via a computer or even a phone. And then after that, we have a workflow that kind of ensures this continuity of care. So they can receive medication, get referred to tests, or receive general instructions for kind of how to proceed based on their symptoms. We can go through this one. We can skip this one. So these are the 4 types of consultations that we have right now: symptom-based, general checkup, mental health, and fitness and health. So anywhere from speaking to a personal trainer, a physical trainer, to someone, to a doctor, a specialized doctor who can address issues they're having with palpitations, to even mental health, where if someone is having mental health issues, they can speak to a licensed mental health specialist and kind of clear their worries or clear their doubts. And a large component of this is also, well, a lot of these low-income individuals, they don't actually have access, or many people think they don't have access to technology. Well, a lot of the research that we actually found says that 85% of low-income individuals actually do have access to phone and the internet, and a lot of our conducted surveys say similar statistics. But for those that don't have such services, we partner with local libraries and community neighborhood resource centers so that these low-income individuals can have access to computers or even the internet. We also have partnerships with mobile technology services. So a mobile, like an RV that has computers, we kind of partner with them so that these services can be made available to low-income individuals, as well as mobile health services. Yeah. So these are just like the 4 key services or the key principles that we fall under. So affordability and lowering the cost of healthcare, accessibility, ensuring that we provide proper access and convenient access to healthcare, accommodation, making sure that we make the service as easy as possible to the healthcare providers, or to the patients. And then patient-centered care, ensuring that everything revolves not around the healthcare providers as they do in many privatized healthcare services, but rather patient-centered care. So these are kind of our key partners that we work with. They're kind of organized into 3 categories: our in-person interaction. So whenever we have a healthcare consultation, we want to refer our patients to clinics or medication centers where they can actually receive the services that they need that we can provide through a telemedicine service. So those are in-person interactions. Then we partner with a host of organizations that kind of give our healthcare professionals that's how we get our healthcare professionals. So from the YMCA for our fitness and health, all the way to the Mental Health Association for our mental health consultations. We have a pretty wide array of consultations there. And then distribution, obviously, how are we distributing services? How are we making these available to patients who will best utilize and best benefit from the service? Let's get this. We can skip this as well. And then, yeah, so we have a board of directors, we have a board of advisors, on the next slide, and then we have a team that's kind of, driven by youth individuals. So everyone on this team is 30 and below. Most of them are in high school, college, and we have one medical student. So we're kind of driven by this idea of, youth leadership to transform community healthcare. Yeah, we can skip this as well. So this is kind of our information. If you'd love to follow up, info@medicallhealth.org is the website, or is our email, and then medicallhealth.org is our website if you'd like to refer. So essentially, if you know any individuals that would benefit from this service, I'd love it. I very much so appreciate it if you kind of distribute this to them, or if you know any healthcare professionals who'd be willing to volunteer their time. Once again, if you could refer them to our website, or if you have questions, ask them now, or obviously go to this email as well. With that, I'd love to answer any questions, clarifications.
Questions from the dad, Mr. Luke?
How's this paid for?
So it's currently our revenue source is just donations and grants. We've been fortunate to be accepted into many grants nationwide and statewide. But as we grow in our phase 2 expansion, we hope to have white labeling as a revenue model. So essentially what that means is we sell a license of our platform, of our software to other organizations, so that we can get a revenue from every consultation that goes through their platform and uses our service. But right now it's just donations and grants.
Other questions from the dad? Questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
KU Medical Center, does that mean you're working with rural health?
Yeah, so we have KU Medical Center, and our key partnership with Rural Health is the Great Plains Health Association. So they have a very big presence of hospitals in rural areas. So we have healthcare professionals in rural areas, as well as the ability to provide these in-person services in rural areas. So obviously this can be very helpful in urban areas, but in places like Kansas, rural health needs help. So we kind of want to focus on that as a big sector of our.
Questions from the public? Counselor.
Not so much a question, but I appreciate the work that you're doing on this. You see a need. Compared to what I was doing when I was 17 or 18 years old, you're 5 years ahead. And so I appreciate what you're doing, and there is definitely a need in our communities. So please let me know how else we can help you your journey here to get this running full steam.
One last question. I'm sorry. What are you gonna be when you graduate?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of find an intersection with healthcare and administration and entrepreneurship. So obviously continuing this, maybe finding another venture that is health related, even maybe have a clinical role. I'm very interested in business and healthcare, so I want to find some intersection there.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much, and keep up the work.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now's the time for any off-agenda items. So is there any individual that did not request to speak on the topic agenda that would like to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am. If you come up here. Yes, ma'am.
First staff meeting.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for hosting this. I had a little trouble finding the place. I'm new to the neighborhood. My name is Sandrine List, by the way, and just bought a commercial property on South Broadway, and would like to invite everyone here. We're hosting something called a multicultural community bazaar this Friday. And we have invited several stakeholders in the community, which is the police department will be providing security, off-duty officers, but Sedgwick County Health Department, the public library, various vendors, businesses. We're certainly going to have outdoor entertainment, the Wichita Dancer, Mexico and El Corazon, the Arise and Shine Choir, I believe that's the name, which is made up of former refugees from Congo who have settled in Wichita. So what we're trying to do is create an event in celebration of what's called Wichita Well Community. To show that Wichita embraces newcomers, not just immigrants or refugee newcomers, but all newcomers. And learn about resources that are available. I forgot to mention, Wichita MTA will be there, so people know how to use transportation. So we've thought about little or big things that any newcomer would want to be, to know about our city. Of course, have fun doing it. So in my rush to get here, since I found out about this meeting not that long ago, forgot flyers. But it's this Friday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 1701 South Broadway, which is the Expatriates Building. And thank you for having me.
What was the
Share
time?
that.
You said 5 until
5 to 8,
5? Thank you.
1701 South Broad.
1701 South.
That's the former bank, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it possible, Becca, that you could have her send you a flyer that you could send out? I know it's Friday and today's Wednesday, but I'd love to share that on social media.
Absolutely.
I'll remind you tomorrow during our meeting.
All right.
I'll try to get it tonight.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Any
And
questions?
congratulations on your buying your festival.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So one last question, what's park? Large parking lot?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and it's gonna be a come and go event,
okay,
not something that people actually stay at. You come, do the rounds of all the vendors, exhibitors, get a bite to eat and.
all right, thank you.
I'm glad you told me that now.
Yes.
Ginger,
Why did you choose to buy a building on South Broadway? Actually, I think the building chose me. I was looking for property that would have space and events, assembly space, also office space, and a kitchen. Now, unfortunately, this building does not have that, but it suited all the other requirements that I was looking for. And it came at the right price. That's always important.
Sure. Well, thanks for choosing District 3, South Wichita. We're glad to have you.
And
Thank
South
you.
Broadway, we'd love to have more people buy buildings on South Broadway, things that are different than what's on South Broadway.
Well, I found out pretty quickly why not a lot of people do it, because the very first thing we had to do was put up a nice fence.
Yeah,
And gates.
yes,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
All right. Okay, now we're moving on to, was there anybody else that wanted to speak to the public? I just. Okay, then we'll move on to new business, and Philip's here to present a zoning case to us. Go, Philip.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Philip Ziebenberg with Metropolitan Area Planning Department. We have one zoning item for you tonight. The zone change located at 5950 South Lincoln Avenue, requesting to go back to single family SF5 from limited industrial. In 1984, this property was rezoned from single family suburban residential back then. It was also in the county back then. To E light industrial districts, which then converted to limited industrial when our zoning code was unified in the 90s. And this property came into the city. It got what was then considered a covenant. We now do protected overlay, but it had uses that restricted, like it didn't want actual industrial zoning. It looked like they wanted an auto body shop, maybe out of the garage or something. And so this was the way that they did it. And so there's information in your staff report of what they were allowed to do in the industrial zoning and pretty much restricted it to the one use. And now they're looking to go back to single family residential. All the surrounding properties in the neighborhood are single family SFI residential. So it's going back to being a very continuous neighborhood. With the zone change, that covenant will effectively be null and void because it will no longer be zoned by industrial. This was heard at the planning commission at the end of August, so they approved it unanimously to 0. There has been no public comment or opposition on this shockingly that people are opposed to it going back to single family. And I think I'll just leave it at that. We have the
Okay. Question from the dad.
catch.
What's the catch? Is the ground poison or something?
No, yes, if I could bench one, just with calls we get from various lenders and things who double check zoning of properties that clients are looking to purchase. With this being low zone limited industrial, if that house would be damaged 50% of its value or more or destroyed, they would not be able to rebuild it as a house. Because it's zone limited industrial and industrial zoning does not allow residential uses.
Is there currently any commercial activity going on there?
I am not aware. The restricted covenant was very specific that if the current property owner sold the property, the commercial ventures had to cease. So my understanding is that there was probably the ability to do a home occupation of sorts, run a business out of their house, do some of the work on site type of thing. And the covenant was the protective way to ensure that it didn't grow to actually be a commercial or industrial venture into the future should they sell the property in the future, John's zone change happening for that.
Any other persons from the audience want to present on this case?
If I read correctly with the zoning and covenant that exists, they weren't allowed to change the character of the residence.
Correct.
So basically, they want to build something nicer or add or whatever and have to go back to residential to be allowed to do that.
That's one way to interpret it too, is if they wanted to change the way the exterior of their house looks.
That's the way I read it. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'm kind of speechless, I'm gonna vote on this because I missed the August.
I was actually about to ask. you.
Planning
Yeah.
Commission
It was a
meeting.
consent item anyway, so we didn't have to
Oh, it was
present it.
this
So
item. Okay, well,
I don't know.
well, that's why I was asking. I just didn't use the term owner applicant. Yes. Is there an owner applicant that wants to speak on this item? Okay, well, then I will bring it back to the DAB for action.
Make a motion to approve as suggested by the staff.
So,
Okay, I have a motion by second. I mean, a motion by second. By Richard. It's been a long few weeks. Second by Gentry. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. I'm so excited about that. Thank you, Philip.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, that is everything except for our board agenda update issues and reports, and we're gonna hear from Council
Public.
Michael.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's why we have a chair and that's why I sit here and do nothing but ask questions. It's here to have. So I'd say for you guys to do. Just a couple of updates. We did pass the budget here recently. Jamie talked about some of the things with the library. It was a 4-3 vote on the budget. Second year in a row was a 4-3 vote. But we got a lot of good things out of the budget again this year. Increases for a lot of the public safety, the 2 new fire stations, they will be going out in northwest Wichita and west Wichita by the airport. That's where the coverage needs are right now. That's the worst part of the city as far as response time. So a few other good out of the budget. I encourage you guys to look through it. See what you think needs to happen in next year's budget as well. Get the talks going right now as far as planning for next year's budget, because that's what staff is already doing, looking at next year's budget. We also had a workshop last month on some of our landlord ordinances. We've all seen some of the videos that have been out in the news recently, especially with a lot of the large complexes, apartment complexes in the city. So we're acting on it. Some of the things we're gonna do is look at pulling in an international code as far as occupancy goes, adding a couple of things such as black mold allowed in residences. There's a couple of other things we're looking at as well. I encourage you to go watch the workshop and give us your feedback. Kind of hoping Richard was here today because he had a couple of properties as well, and I'm interested in his feedback. Gentry, actually, she sat in, helped us earlier in the process as well. So people who are familiar with the process, I just love all feedback, hear what people think, but at the very least, something needs to be done to ensure just basic living conditions for people. It's a health thing. I keep talking about this, just seeing a single mom with a 1-year-old and the back of the baby is just bitten all up with insects and so it's definitely something that we need to look into about the problematic landlords or slumlords. Because that's what happens with a lot of these people. I understand there's need for affordable housing, but if you cannot provide basic safety and health standards, you should not be in that business, period. So we're looking at that. Any feedback again? I love feedback. Shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever. Just let me know what you think about it. Platt Park, there have been some improvements already. We have poured 36 disc golf pads for the disc golfers out there, in which that gets used all the time. And this last weekend, I believe, we had 700 participants, over 700 participants in a cross-country meet out there, including high school cross-country runners and collegiate cross-country runners. So as we're doing improvements to the trails and to the bridges, that's one of the aspects that we're working with Wichita State to make sure that the course is certified and just a really great course, because there's a lot of people who are looking at bringing cross-country running to the park, and it's a great way to activate and use it as well. So a lot of good things, and again, he gave the update about some of the other improvements. The last thing I want to say is we do have a band member who is not doing so well right now. Ron Tracy, our thoughts and our prayers are with him as he goes through a difficult time right now. So I'm sure he'd love it if you drop him a line, shoot him an email, something of that sort. We're family here, and anytime one of us is sick or hurt or anything, it's it affects us all. So please reach out to him and get him in. I appreciate that. So everybody, please just think of Ron in this time. And
Can he have visitors?
I'm not sure. Paul has seen him recently.
What's the last update you got? Okay, we got to think.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I talked to Scott last night, his son.
Yeah.
And they had talked about, like last Friday, they would take him back to the hospital and put in like a permanent tube where they could drain his fluid off. And he has decided not to do that. So I think he's pretty well committed to his fate.
So any good thoughts, and especially prayers, I do believe in that. So good thoughts, prayers, whatever is suitable for you, please remember Ron in this time. And with that, I'll take any questions from DAB or audience. Okay, last little bit here, Chiefs play tomorrow. If you're not a Chiefs fan, whatever, but we're rocking out right here.
You got a question?
Yes, yeah.
Is there a written plan for Clett Park? What else you gonna put besides the park or the dog park?
Master plan.
I can get that to you. Email me tomorrow and I'll get you that overview of what we have. It's out there and we presented it before.
They talked about it before about a farmer's market and this and that out there too. Is that still coming in the works?
That would be further down the road if that, when I got on into office, they had allotted, it was $30 million last fall. And they had allotted $10 million and only $5 million of that's going to be in my term, even if I win re-election. The second batch of that money is not until 2030. That's what I came into office with. So we had the dog park, we have improvements to the trails. We are putting in a pollinator garden for butterflies and whatnot to help increase just pollinator insects. And we also have a all access playground that's pretty neat. I've been watching, I've been going over the design with Public Works. They got some pretty neat things, zip lines for kids in wheelchairs. We have one all access playground in the city, and that's in Sedgwick County Park on the other side of town. So I think it's a great thing that we're doing that here. You shouldn't have to load up a disabled child and take them 20 minutes across town to find somewhere for them to go. So I'm really, really psyched about getting that program up.
I'm a thorn in Mike's side. This is all the work that was done prior to it becoming a park in a master plan, which is, this is probably the only copy left in existence. The rest of
You
it,
live on Mount Vernon?
Yeah.
I live on Harry crossing the Keeper right there.
oh, do you? Okay, yeah.
The pollinator garden is.
I'm not anybody have this, but you're welcome to look at it.
But I'm psyched about the pollinator garden as well. Yes, ma'am.
Without
I
the
just-
wildlife, are you working to relocate them that are in the park?
We go out and do trapping for a week or two every couple of months. And we do relocate them to other places. A funny story about Cowtown. Cowtown has been under some duress here lately, and we actually increased the budget. And we also, they were having problems with raccoons getting into some of the buildings. So we have at least pulled 14 raccoons out of the Cowtown campus here recently and relocated them out of town as well. So we do so every so often as well.
Well, I know there was a turkey over there, because I got pictures of him across the street in the yard. He
Gotta
came to
love-
visit.
Yeah, you gotta love wildlife. I guess we can have the third district turkey. It's like the Riverside Bobcat, right?
My extra raccoons are coming from.
Yeah.
You
I
didn't
volunteered to
didn't
take
request
this.
it?
We didn't let me.
Any other questions or comments?
All right, well, I appreciate seeing everybody today, and I'll see you here in a month. And again, if you ever need anything, please reach out to me. Email's usually the best way. I'm pretty responsive to email, but call me as well. So aside from that, I turn it back to you.
Can I ask,
I'm sure your friend sent you an email.
can I ask a stupid question?
Only one stupid question allowed from me.
Okay, I don't.
No.
You can educate me. I don't want to die by fire, but I thought most homes were designed with the general unit to flow through the house to provide good circulation. I keep my bedroom door open because if I hear somebody or something outside, I can hear it better.
You're doomed.
Huh?
You're doomed.
Oh, yeah, probably. But I do have alarms throughout the house, so if smoke goes off, I close the door real quick and get out the window. But am I the only one that doesn't close their bedroom window?
No,
No,
Window, I keep my window open.
I mean, I'm not against the regulation, I just don't understand it when you figure, when they design central air conditioning and heating, it's to flow through the whole house and it create a nice.
That was a question you should have had earlier when.
I was afraid to ask him because he might stole me.
You might have had a good.
I'm just curious.
Get a fan, Mike, get a fan.
I'm kind of weird.
Thank
Kind
you.
of weird. All my upstairs doors are open, all my downstairs doors are closed.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yeah, we have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Public.